Hey everybody, it's Short Take Saturday with me, Andrew Hody. I'm coming to you from downtown Cleveland right now, and it's buzzing in town right now after the Browns defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers the other night 24-19 in what was an incredible game in the snow. The snow's kind of melted a little bit downtown. It's still chilly, but you know what? That's typical Cleveland weather. You're at the beach, and then all of a sudden you need a snow shovel. So, nevertheless, what a game for the Cleveland Browns. Jameis Winston looked phenomenal. I cannot believe how he performed in that game at the end, especially coming off that interception late. But the Browns did it. They got the job done, and a lot of people feel good about the Browns now. For the season, I don't feel good about the Browns. Obviously, I think it's a wash already. But having said that, though, does Jameis Winston prove he's a good bridge quarterback for right now? I think that certainly seems to be the case. I think what's going to be big for the Browns now is they now have an opportunity to sweep Pittsburgh and Baltimore late in the year. They still have to go to Pittsburgh. They still have to go to Baltimore, so that will be definitely a situation for the Browns that will be big if they can get that done. Obviously, I think they have a benefit with Baltimore being Week 18, because if the Ravens already have a playoff spot, then the Ravens may not be playing for anything, and the Browns could win that game either way. And Pittsburgh, obviously, with all the trash talk going on right now, especially from George Pickens, he's my new least favorite Steeler. Oh, my God, what a guy he is. I don't know what he was getting in that scuffle with Greg Newsome over, but that guy, for what he said about I don't think the Browns are a good team. And listen, he's not wrong. The Browns aren't a good team. But you just lost to them. The last thing you want to do is talk crap about a team you just lost to, because now that's bulletin board material for the Cleveland Browns in the game for Pittsburgh in a few weeks. They're going to come down to Pittsburgh now more motivated, seeing that on a bulletin board. So if I'm George Pickens, I would absolutely watch out in that game down by the Three Rivers in a few weeks with Greg Newsome and all those guys, because you can't talk trash like that and not pay for it in the NFL. Typically, teams do. We know that throughout history when it comes to trash talk in the NFL. That doesn't mean you can't talk trash when you're doing good. A lot of teams do that, but George Pickens kind of drew the line there, I think. Having said that, though, the Browns are 3-8, so the season's still clearly a wash, but still great things to see from Jameis Winston. Could he be a guy that the Browns use as a bridge moving forward? Possibly. Obviously, you still have the Deshaun Watson contract. Do we need to go out and get another quarterback? That remains yet to be seen. But overall, I think the other big thing to solidify here is Kevin Stefanski proved he was the guy. How many coaches have beaten Pittsburgh and Baltimore multiple times in the last couple of years? I can't think of any Browns coach that's done that since 1999 outside of Kevin Stefanski. The only other coach that beat Baltimore and Pittsburgh in the same year outside of Kevin Stefanski, and this may surprise some people, it's Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens absolutely was the only other coach to do so, and that was still a 6-10 awful season for the Browns. So having said that, yeah, it is going to be huge for the Cleveland Browns to still get their act together. There's a lot of work to do. The season, as I said, I still think is a wash, but we take the wins when we can. And Jameis Winston was an Iron Man. Myles Garrett, how can we not talk about him? 3 sacks, an all-time great player. Unbelievable football game in the snow. The fans also showed up and showed out. I saw more Browns fans in the stands than Steeler fans, and the Steelers are known for having a really good traveling fan base. But did the snow hold them back a little bit? Maybe so. It's not like the weather is going to be much better in Pittsburgh either way. But hey, having said that, we'll take it where we can. Browns getting a win over the Steelers on Thursday night. Other than that, they play Denver on Monday night in a few weeks. And I think the Broncos, as I said last time on Raw Takes, they're kind of an up-and-coming team right now, a team I think people are kind of keeping under the radar, but they have a winning record, and they're probably going to be one of those wild card teams come the end of the season. But we'll have to see. There's still a lot that could happen. The Colts are still in the mix a little bit. You look at Cincinnati, they're also in the mix. It's going to be kind of a wild race to the finish in the AFC, but I don't think the Browns are going to be in that conversation unless they win out. I don't see that happening. And with the Kansas City Chiefs on that schedule, yeah, I doubt that. Having said that, though, the Browns still getting a big win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. The buzz in town has been great because of it. And with the Cleveland Cavaliers playing the way they have too, there's a lot to feel good about, I think, from that sense. Even if the season's over, that was still a successful week in Cleveland sports for the Cleveland Browns as well. It's always good to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially putting George Pickens in his place for all the trash talk he does. All right, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they play tomorrow night against the Toronto Raptors. I think they're going to be fine overall because it's a Toronto Raptors game. They should have no problem beating them at all. It should be pretty much just a pencil and win, essentially. But, you know, it's the NBA and things happen. But you look at the Group C in the in-season tournament right now, and the Cleveland Cavaliers, getting the job done. They really are. They are currently 1-1. They did lose to the Boston Celtics, who will the tiebreaker. Atlanta currently looks like the favorite in their group, but honestly, I don't really care about the in-season tournament. I don't know that many people that do. I know it's kind of a big deal now for like certain teams, like the Los Angeles Lakers being the first ones to do it last year. But what did the Lakers do when the postseason came around? Squat. So at least the Indiana Pacers won a couple playoff series, even though they were in the championship game last year. So nothing much from the in-season cup I really care about. But the Cavs are still on a hot streak. They're 16-1. I think they're going to be 17-1 after tomorrow, and they're just a really fun group. I love the core four now. I was very critical of the core four before this season. Now it definitely is working out, and they have the Coach of the Year candidate in Kenny Atkinson right now. So Cleveland Cavaliers are in good shape. But then today, the big fuss is going to be Ohio State and Indiana. I mean, as I'm recording this, the game isn't over yet, so this is right before the game, but Ohio State needs to take care of business today. As I said, I'm nervous just because Indiana's ranked, but you look at Indiana's schedule, they really haven't played anybody, but you got to look at that Nebraska game and then compare it to how Ohio State played Nebraska. Ohio State barely beat Nebraska. Indiana clobbered them. And Indiana also is coming off a win against Michigan, which is never an easy game, even though Michigan isn't that good this year. So, yeah, I think if you're the Buckeyes, got to take care of business. Kurt Sigfetti, obviously, as I've mentioned before, getting that extension is huge. But it's a big game for Ryan Day. I think it's clear the Ohio State Buckeyes are a lot more talented than the Indiana Hoosiers. But having said that, though, I'm not so sure who the better coach team is. Is it Kurt Sigfetti's Indiana Hoosiers or is it Ryan Day's Ohio State Buckeyes? We'll see today. That's it for today's edition of Short Take Saturday, live from downtown today. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and we'll be back for some more Raw Takes next week, along with my reaction to some of the games coming up tomorrow. I know Baltimore and the Chargers are going to play on Monday night for the John and Jim Harbaugh Bowl. Once again, that's going to be kind of exciting to see. I like the Chargers in that one based on their defense. So we'll talk a lot about all that and more coming into this week on Raw Takes with Andrew Hody. Thank you for tuning in.